6 multi-agent systems were tested against one plain single agent, all on the same model. At most, one of the 6 beat it. The other 5 trailed on worse accuracy for cost trade-offs. So if your setup spawns sub-agents because you expect it to go faster, this video is about your setup and about what they are genuinely good for. Here is the claim up front. Subagents are a speed upgrade only when the work genuinely splits, and most coding work does not. Their reliable value is as a checking mechanism, a second agent carrying none of the history that produced the work, judging it. There is a stronger version of that claim about which channel the check arrives through. We tested that one ourselves. Mechanically, a subagent is a fresh conversation. The parent hands it a task. It runs its own tools in its own context. The parent never sees any of that. Only the final message comes back. Every file read and every wrong turn stays inside the child and is thrown away. The parent gets the conclusion, never the transcript. If you need the details, do not delegate the work that produces them. Before the cost, the counter-evidence, Anthropic ran subagents in parallel and cut research time by up to 90% on complex queries. We reran that comparison on a coding task and measured no wall clock gain. Both results are real. The difference is whether the work splits. Research fans out across sources. 3 unrelated test failures do too. But coordination eats the gain. The rule is about the shape of the work. Now, the cost of that isolation, which is the number everyone quotes, Anthropic published it on June 13th, 2025. A multi-agent research system burned about 15 times more tokens than a plain chat turn. 2 things to hold on to. That is their production data, not a benchmark. And it is a comparison against chat, not against a single agent. Cost is not the only problem, and the sharpest evidence here is not from a vendor. An independent study called MAST annotated more than 1,600 execution traces across 7 frameworks and found 14 recurring failure modes in 3 categories. In its own words, gains on popular benchmarks are often minimal. And notice the 3rd category. Verification is where these systems break. A more recent independent paper ran the controlled version of the question. 6 multi-agent systems. 1 matched single-agent anchor. Everything on the same model. At most, one of the 6 beat it, and that one sits inside the paper's own noise guidance. The other 5 trailed by roughly 2.5 to 11.5 points on more expensive accuracy for cost trade-offs. So why would adding agents make things worse? Errors compound. A small mistake early is treated as settled fact by everything downstream, and nothing is looking for it. And in Anthropic's own words, most coding tasks involve fewer truly parallelizable tasks than research. That line is from 2025, and it was still in the post when we captured it in August 2026. Now watch the advice itself move across 3 model releases. Anthropic's notes for Opus 4.8 say that model spawns fewer subagents by default, so give it explicit guidance on when to delegate. The notes for Opus 5 say it delegates more readily, so cap it. The notes for Fable 5 say use subagents frequently with no cap at all. What moved is the model's default, not the company's opinion. And then there's this pair from the same document. Opus 5, it says coordinates teams of subagents well with effective writer-verifier patterns. And then it verifies its own work without being told to. So if your prompt tells it to use a subagent to verify, remove that. Read quickly. That is a contradiction. Read carefully. It is the hinge of this video. The variable is whose work is being checked. An agent checking its own output already believes it. The reasoning that produced the mistake is sitting right there in its context, so it confirms instead of checking. A different agent carrying none of that history is doing something structurally different. Same mechanism, opposite value. That distinction resolves the contradiction. Someone reversed themselves in public over exactly this. Cognition, June 2025. In 2025, running multiple agents in collaboration only results in fragile systems. Cognition, April 2026. It works when writes stay single-threaded. One agent edits, the others only read and critique. That is a vendor talking, but the shape matches the independent work. So where do vendor claims and independent papers actually agree? Across the sources I checked, two things come up on both sides. Breadth first work that genuinely splits. Search, wide reading, independent samples. And verification in a separate context. Much of the rest of the pitch is contested. These two are not. If you take one architectural rule from this video, take the second. There is a named method built on that second one. Matt Schumer published it on July 27, 2026, and calls it the Gauntlet Loop. It came from a run where agents built a shooter and judged it against a real one. 5 numbered steps. The one that matters is step 4, and he put it in the subtitle, Never Let the Builder Grade Itself. His reasoning is worth hearing directly. The builder has seen every decision it made and remembers why it made it. That makes it very good at explaining why its work is reasonable. In his words, you do not want reasonable, you want an independent judgment. So the critic gets the goal, the bar, the rules, and the artifact, never the builder's history. He is also honest about the ceiling, which is rarer than it should be. A hard bar, he writes, does not need to be realistically reachable. The game never did become better than Call of Duty, and he stopped the run while it was still improving. The bar's job is not to be met, it is to stop the agent settling for pretty good. Here is where we tested something, and it did not go our way. His rule is his, inspect the actual artifact, never a summary. The sharper version that the check must land in a channel the builder did not author in is ours. We fixed the pass criterion before running anything. That is the only reason the result means anything, and it did not hold. The test was 5 artifacts, each built by its own subagent. Then 2 critics per artifact. Same goal, same written bar, byte identical prompts, same model, neither told the other existed. One got the source, the other got only a screenshot. For the claim to hold, the screenshot critic had to catch a defect the source critic missed in 3 of 5. It managed 2. Which brings us to cost. As of early August 2026, I found no public remeasurement on Opus 5. The 2025 figures imply roughly 3.7 times for multi-agent over a single agent, 15 times versus chat, 4 times versus chat for a single one, and inference not a figure they published. We reran it, delegation the only variable, roughly parity on tokens, 1.2 times on cost, no measurable difference on wall clock. That measurement nearly published backwards, and the reason is the thesis of this video. The parent's own token accounting does not include its children, because the parent never receives their transcripts. Read the parent's number alone and delegating looks 4 times cheaper. It is not. The isolation that makes subagents useful is the same isolation that hides what they cost. The caveats, because they matter more than the headline. Our own test was 5 artifacts, 1 domain, 1 model. A demonstration, not a benchmark. The cost run was 3 trials, widespread, small cacheable task. And Anthropic's 90.2% is a margin, not a win rate. multi-agent outperformed single-agent Opus 4 by that much on a 2025 internal eval. Do not quote it as current. To more places this does not apply. A meta paper fenced the job tightly, a bounded search space, a harness built by humans. 3 agents ran concurrently, but as independent replicates, not collaborators. Given an open-ended objective, they failed, and in the 6 versus 1 paper, one orchestrated runtime beat the strongest fixed multi-agent system by more than 20 points on a long horizon benchmark. The meta protocol has no critic role. Where subagents do pay is parallelizable research. 3 takeaways. 1. Subagents are a context and checking tool, not a general speed tool. We measured no wall clock gain on work that does not split, and that is most coding work. 2. Never let the builder grade itself, and never hand the critic a summary. Give it the artifact. 3. Measure your own delegation. The parent's token count is not telling you the truth. If that was useful, subscribe. This channel publishes the tests that fail too.